Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Shafiq bin YUSOP. Matric numbers 1191F43. We are from group 3. We'll present about Wahabism and rehabilitation. Okay, for the introduction, 1.1 background of the study. In light of the current global political escalation, Salafism, or more commonly known as Wahabism, as a trend and theological movement, has piqued the interest of many researchers. It has been a focal point for issues such as global terrorism, radicalism, post-Arab Spring politics, religious trends, and theological debates. There is no doubt about the strong influence of Salafism in the Southeast Asian region, owing to its sizable Muslim population and certain events related to Salafism or Wahabism as an ideology. Okay, next, 1.2, concept and definition. The term Salaf is derived from the word Salaf, Yaslufu Salafan, which means it has passed. As a result, the term Salaf refers to Islam's early generations in three periods: companions, tabi'in, and tabi'in, who have glory and virtue. These three generations are known collectively as the Salaf generation. As a result, the term Salafiyah derives from the word Salaf, which means following in the footsteps, path, and manhaj of the Salaf generation, according to Chosin 2013. It is clear from this understanding that there is a distinction between the Salaf and the Salafi. Salaf refers to the lives of three generations which are regarded as the best in Islam. At the same time, Salafis are Muslims who adhere to the teachings of Islam's three best generation, known as Salafus Saleh, according to Rahmawati 2022. Next, 1.3, problem statement. In the Malaysian context, Islam and traditional practices are inextricably linked and very significant to the Muslim community. However, the emergence of the Salafi Wahhabi ideology in the country nowadays has been seen as a threat to the Muslim community due to its rigidity and extreme restrictions on Islamic traditional and cultural practices, which also can be seen in their interpretation of the Quran and Hadith. The common traditional practices of the Muslim community in Malaysia, such as reading Surah Yasin on Friday night, Tahlil, the celebration of the Prophet Muhammad's birthday, and zikr collectively were classified as bid'ah and can corrupt the akidah of Muslims according to the Salafi Wahhabi. As a result of this rigid interpretation, the Muslim community is divided as to whether it is permissible for them to engage in Islamic traditional practices. Next, 1.4 research questions. Number 1 is, what is the historical background of Wahabism? And number 2, what is the way of rehabilitation for Wahabism? 1.5 research objectives. First, to study the historical background of Wahabism, and second, to find a way of rehabilitation for Wahabism. And next, 1.6 research methodologies. Researchers use library and information science research methodologies to complete this study. The information gathered using this methodology was gathered through a review of literature such as books, texts, articles, and resources such as websites and blogs. The auto-date system is used in USIM style to recite sources of information included in the writing.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. My name is MUKHLIS bin RAHIMI. My matric number 1192772. Now I will continue discuss about Wahabi. Okay, Wahabi's introduction. Wahabis in Arabic is Wahabiyah, Al-Wahabiyah, or Wahabinism is a dominant belief or trend practiced by Haramain scholars. We call it Mecca and Medina, that was founded by Muhammad Abdul Wahab. Since his father died, Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab has felt free to think about and attack the behavior of Muslim that is contrary from his opinion. This Wahabi founder understood in Quran and Hadith very narrowly. Okay, next, the Bani Saud royal family, which has ruled Saudi Arabic since 1924, added to this understanding. From the point of view of Islamic religious thought, this Wahhabi group is based on the teachings of Imam Hanbali, but the references to the belief that they were influenced by Ibn Taymiyyah interpretation. Okay, next, characteristic of Wahhabi. Firstly, Wahhabi is hard to see if we don't see it in detail. In terms of jurisprudence, they tend to do taklif with the excuse of not being obsessed with sex. Next, they also exaggerate the issue of the Caliphate and punish heresy toward the practice of Muslim, which in their opinion have no script. Okay, next, in the term of belief, they use the doctrine of three series monotheism. These kinds of faith methods new in religion. Okay, they also indoctrinate their followers to equate a Muslim who, in their view, commit shirik or as being the same as infidel who do not believe to Tawheed. Not much can be said about Sufism because Wahhabis basically reject Sufis and thinks that Sufis is very dirty science. And lastly, they also reject orders and are very anti-Sufis. Okay.
Alhamdulillah. Next, for my part, 2.2 Wahhabi scholars. Scholars are also not behind in facing this Wahhabi movement. According to Deni Haryadi, the first famous scholars are Sheikh Muhammad Nasiruddin Albani. Sheikh Muhammad Nasiruddin Albani was an influential Islamic scholar in the 20th century. He is better known as Sheikh Albani. He was born in 1914 and died on 1st October 1999. His expertise is in the field of hadith and fiqh. He is also active in the fields of writing and giving lectures. He was nicknamed Al-Muhaddith with his follower. Second, Sheikh Abdul Aziz bin Abdullah bin Baz. Sheikh Abdul Aziz bin Abdullah bin Baz, also known as Ibn Baz or Ben Baz, is a religious figure who is the former Mufti of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. He was born on 12th of Zulhijjah 1330 Hijri in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. He is a person who is blind in both eyes. The third, Sheikh Muhammad bin Saleh bin Muhammad Al-Uthaymin. This Sheikh is a scholar from Saudi Arabia. He memorized the Quran from a young age and studied religious knowledge with Sheikh bin Baz, Sheikh Abdul Rahman As-Sa'di, and Sheikh Muhammad Al-Shanqiti.
Next, the rehabilitation. First of all, my name is KHAIR NAUFAL bin KHAIR and my matric number is 1198837. So, in this chapter, I will discuss about how to rehab someone who has been stuck with the Wahhabi group. Honestly, for the rehabilitation process, it requires a very careful strategy to rehab it. This is to ensure that the rehabilitation process is successful and also to ensure that regardless of whether it is the restorer or the restored, both of them survive and stay in the faith Al-Sunnah wal Jama'ah at the end of the rehabilitation process. So, the method that can be used to recover someone from this Wahabism is the method of de-radicalization. According to Arash Pradana, de-radicalization is a planned, integrated, systematic, and continuous process that is implemented to eliminate, reduce, and reverse the radical understanding of terrorism that has occurred. Therefore, this method is suitable to be used to rehab the Wahhabi group because the Wahhabi, or we call it Salafi Jihadi belief, is also one of the extreme beliefs that practice terrorism. Furthermore, according to Dr. Abdullah Jalil's lecture, the de-radicalization method or process can be divided into 4 categories. The methods are: first, starting by identifying their belief system; second, demolish their old or extreme belief system; third, building a new or correct belief system; and the last, which is the fourth, strengthening the new or correct belief system. These 4 categories have been arranged in the best possible sequence to ensure that the deradicalization process or method will run well and effectively. As a result, after explaining the way to rehab the Wahhabi group, which is using deradicalization methods, it can be demonstrated that the deradicalization process is the most effective way to recover someone who has become stuck with extreme beliefs such as Wahhabi and then guides them to the right path.
My name is Muhammad SYAFIQULLAH bin EFFANDI NAZILA, matrix number 1191850. In conclusion, Wahhabis are known for their strict interpretation of Islamic law and their emphasis on the importance of returning to the practice of early Muslims. It has been criticized for promoting intolerance and violence against those who do not adhere to a strict interpretation of Islam. However, it should be noted that not all proponents of Wahabism condone violence, and many reject the use of violence in the name of religion. This understanding has a negative impact on the Muslim community itself because it has caused division among the community. It has also confused the community about the practice that is often the practice of Ahli Sunnah wal Jama'ah in this country. This understanding had led astray certain groups who are not in line with the top row, including the authoritative scholars such as the scholars of the Al-Ashairah and Al-Maturidiyah schools. Among the measures to overcome this is to strengthen teaching credentials in mosques, to control instructors or speakers who may create an unfriendly atmosphere or accuse each other. Increasing the number of meetings to strengthen faith such as sermons, seminars, forums and others periodically about the dangers of heresy against traditional practice. Produce and distribute publication materials related to the Aqidah Ahli Sunnah wal Jama'ah for distribution to mosques, government or private agencies and so on to avoid the follow of heresy. That's all from us. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.